both those who've been working and those who are starting working again today, our firefighters, who are the greatest. And let me just say, I've always been a big supporter of the firefighters, both paid and volunteer, because these folks are like soldiers. What do our soldiers do? They risk their lives for our safety. And that's what our firefighters do. They risk their lives for our safety. And they, to me, are the highest calling in the United States of America. So, let's go over what happened here. Just a few months ago, because of city budget cuts, Long Beach had to lay off 5 firefighters. It was an incredibly tough decision. We all know, more than probably any other place, the Long Beach Fire Department and the city of Long Beach and the community of Long Beach are totally intertwined. It's not like some other places where the firefighters are here and the community's here. It's one and the same. It's like a weave. And it was devastating for people, not only the 5 who lost their jobs, but the whole fire department and the Long Beach community. Long Beach worked hard to prevent these layoffs, but during these tight times of budget, they didn't have much choice. And knowing the difficulty that our communities have in keeping firefighters, a few years ago, Senator Dodd and I passed a law called the SAFER Act, which under difficult times provides some federal dollars to hire and rehire firefighters who are needed in their communities, but their communities are undergoing real budget restraint. The SAFER Act wants to make sure, its intention was to assure that our communities are adequately protected. The SAFER Grant, the program stands for, we always make up these names so the word, so the letters fit and make something. So SAFER stands for Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. And it awards grants to fire departments to help them increase the number of frontline firefighters and rehire firefighters who were laid off due to economic difficulty. Essentially, the federal funding ensures that local heroes have the adequate personnel on their team to work as efficiently and effectively to save lives. Now, during Sandy, these folks, my guess is, I haven't asked them, I should have, I'll bet a lot of them were volunteering. But, and helping their communities and their neighbors. Is that right? When you're a firefighter, it doesn't matter if you pay or not, it's in your blood. I'm sure that's exactly what you guys did. But they weren't on the payroll, and that's much harder in terms of coordination and equipment and everything else. And so today I'm happy to announce that the City of Long Beach is being awarded over $900,000 through the SAFER Grant, which will go to hiring the 5 firefighters who were laid off a year ago. So let's have it for them. Okay. It's a terrible thing to have to lay off any employee, but laying off first responders can create a danger for everybody else. And we've seen how important our first responders are. I was here the day after the storm with some of our legislators and Jack. I saw what our first responders were doing. I saw how they were rescuing people. I saw how they were giving people comfort. People still stuck in their houses, not knowing what to do. Our fire, our police, our EMT here in Long Beach did an amazing job. And I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of those who worked so long and so hard. We suffered tremendous damage here in Long Beach, one of the most damaged places in the entire country from any storm. But, praise God, the loss of life and limb was minimized, danger to life and limb was minimized mainly because of these folks who were standing behind me and the people like them. And so, they risked their lives to save ours, and thank God they did. In particular, Chiefs Corbett, Cuevas, and Tuchillo, who coordinated prior to the storm and led the department during the darkest times. They responded to hundreds of calls, they coordinated mutual aid, they covered Long Beach communities immediately after the storm. And so we owe all of these firefighters a debt of gratitude. in time of increased need of emergency service and emergency medical response, it's critical to increase the core first responders available to Long Beach's residents. Long Beach needs these brave heroes. I'm proud to award them with a $900,000 grant to hire back 5 firefighters. And now we know we have even, God forbid, there's another storm, and now that the dunes are gone and unprotected, even a smaller storm could create damage. Thank God these 5 firefighters will be here to do the same as they and their colleagues. I used to play basketball. Madison High School, our team's motto wasn't very good. We weren't very good, and our team's motto was, we may be small, but we're slow. But I played basketball until I was about 50. That's how I got my exercise. And about at 50, we got turned. Brain says jump, body stays on the ground, it's time to do something else. Because I had bad knees from basketball, I couldn't run, so I ride a bike. 2 years ago, I rode my bike from Brooklyn out here to march in the St. Patrick's Day. And so I ride a bike, and in the summer I do a lot of advertising by putting on shirts. So you will be well advertised throughout the New York area with this beautiful shirt. Symbol on the back. I just want to say one other thing. There's a lot of talk now that it's just about a month after Sandy, we're on the first day of December, that, oh, well, we should abandon communities on the shore. Anyone who knows Long Beach knows that that would be such a wrong thing to do. This is a beautiful community, a wonderful community, a special community. People live close together, but they don't just live close together physically. They live close together emotionally and culturally. Everybody's one. It's a special place. And what we have to do is make sure that we protect these communities on the shore from the future Sandys that we know will come, but build back. And that's my job in Washington. And that's what I will be doing, because I really believe in places like this. One of the things we've already applied for, as many of you may know, there was a plan in 2005 to build dunes. The community didn't want it at that point. They were not aware of the dangers that were faced and the storms that are 7 years later. But the good news is the Army Corps of Engineers has already planned that, and it's authorized by the Congress. All we got to do is get the money, and we hope that in the supplemental bill that the President should introduce on Tuesday, I've been having meetings around the clock about that the money to replenish the dunes will be there. And then they'll start building right away. The Army Corps is ready to go, and we should get some protection here. So I say to people of Long Beach, and of the whole South Shore community on Long Island, we are not going to abandon these communities. We are going to do everything we can to prepare them for the next storm and provide the kind of physical barriers that are needed so that the kind of terrible damage we saw this time won't happen again. With that, I'm ready for your questions. Is anyone else going to speak? Len, you want to speak representing the city?
No, again, this is a very, very special day. I have to thank Senator Schumer. He's always been, and I keep saying this, at the forefront of where communities are in need. He's there, and I have to thank you, Senator. Thank you. And I can't tell you how happy we are to bring back these 5 young men that I felt so bad about 8 months ago. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. And look, I drove through, I came through, I live in Brooklyn, so we drove through the West End, and you see, houses are coming back, people are coming back, they're working hard on their houses. It's a good, hopeful sign. There's a long way to go and people need help. And we realize particularly the economic damage that people have faced, both small businesses and homes. But we're going to do everything we can to give them the wherewithal to come back. And it's good to see. Yeah. Yeah, Fire Commissioner, do you want to say something? Commissioner Kemmons? Thank you.
Dealing with the senator, I was at his office about 2 weeks ago with the city manager and finding him to be a very upfront gentleman, very sincere, and it is greatly appreciated to bring back these 5 firefighters under one of the darkest times the city has gone through in its lifetime. And the fire department's at the forefront, as the senator has said, to bring emergency services to the residents of Long Beach, and with the 5 extra guys, especially at the tough times we're going to be going through and the rebuilding period we'll be going through, they're welcomed with open arms. And once again, thank you, Senator.
Any questions from the media?
Senator, just curious how you get the money. Is it basically a matter of applying for it?
The SAFER grant, the Long Beach Fire Department applied for it, and we helped push it through. It's not an automatic grant that goes to every fire department. The SAFER grant you apply for. Our New York fire departments, both paid and volunteer, have been very good. This grant, SAFER, and there's also something called the fire grant, which goes to volunteer firehouses for equipment and stuff. New York's done better than any other state.
Senator, you've been talking about, there's been a big debate as to whether we should build up along here. I think people that live here feel that way. They don't want to pay the extra money. What kind of optimism do you have going into these talks about this bill?
Well, look,
there's got to be some pushback here.
Oh, there is. It's going to be a tough road to hoe. You know, we have tough times in Washington. You've all heard about the fiscal cliff. But there's been a tradition in Washington when an area faces a major disaster, the rest of the country pitches in. These taxpayers, these people as taxpayers, sent money down to Louisiana when Katrina was hurt. They sent money out west when there were vast forest fires. They sent money just last year when there was the tornado in Missouri. And so now we want the rest of the country to stand by New York. There are some who want to set up new rules, such as for every dollar you send here, you got to cut a dollar somewhere else. That'll bollocks us up. That's never been the tradition for 100 years, because the federal government, in its wisdom, realized when the hand of God strikes, and the devastation is so large, no community can handle it on their own. And it's a symbol of the United States that we unite together and help an area in need. Now it's we who are in need, and we expect that we'll get help, but I don't want to dilute anybody. Is this going to be easy? Is this going to be a layup? No way. It's going to be a three-pointer from far out, but we're going to work hard to get it done. So far, the vibrations are good. Peter King, our congressman from Long Island, spoke to Speaker Boehner, and he said he wouldn't do what's called offsets, which would greatly limit the amount of money we've had. Governor Christie talked to Speaker Boehner as well. I've talked to many of my colleagues on the Senate side, and we're hopeful. We're now working with the administration because they're the ones who have to introduce this so-called supplemental, and we're working with them to get it as commensurate as New York with New York's needs as we can. We should know Tuesday or Wednesday what they'll be doing.
Senator, did the arrival of Sandy expedite the grant you're talking about in D.C.?
No, I don't believe we pushed hard for it afterwards, but it was applied for before.
And how long will this money keep your jobs going? Just for like a year?
No, it's longer than a year. It's 2 years each. By then, hopefully, the community will have recovered, but they can apply for another grant if financially they're still in tough shape.
Can we hear from any of the guys?
It's up to them. They're not big talkers. They're doers.
Chris.
All right, Chris.
Thanks, guys, for making me talk. Just want to thank our union president and Lieutenant Chris Troy. They're the guys that put in the hard hours with the grant, spent hours and hours writing multiple narratives and doing all the paperwork and lots of math, and they have to, count every cent that we're going to cost so we could get it all. So very important. Without them, this would have never happened. So very appreciative for the
We also have families here from the firefighters. So who's your relatives here, Chris?
my mom's
Yes, she is.
We are.
Yes,
She was very enthusiastic. I saw her in the background. She's taking pictures.
yeah. My whole family's here. I got my grandma, I got my aunts, uncles, I have a girlfriend. Everyone's from Long Beach, so they're very excited. They're excited. They're all from the community, and I know that the parents of all the other guys are here too. We got wife and new child of one of our new guys, Mike Seaman. So everyone's very excited.
How you felt when Sandy was coming in, knowing that you were not on the payroll, but this was your community and your heart? What was that like for you?
I mean, for me personally, I'm sure for the other guys, it's very tough to sit back and watch as everything happen. To sit home the day of the storm and ride it out, it was tough emotionally. It stunk that couldn't be out there on the trucks doing the work. But myself and the other guys, we were here after. We're helping out Firehouse. I mean, we couldn't go on every call. We couldn't do too much, but you know, they needed water brought in. They needed this done. We were here helping, doing the best we could. And it was nice to be able to help out, even if we weren't on the payroll.
Good. Now you can see why they picked Chris.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Richie Coburn. I'm the chief of the department. I'm a volunteer chief, and we work hand in hand with the uniformed force. And the most special part of me for this, these guys all coming back, is 2 of them were volunteers who rose up through the ranks as volunteer firefighters. 3 of them were also Long Beach lifeguards for many years. And another one worked for the city as a building inspector. So it seems like they've all come full circle, and they came back to where they belong. So, Senator Schumer, we can't thank you enough for this grant. We can't thank the uniformed members for putting in all the time and effort, and Commissioner Kemmons for all the work he's done. And like they said, during Hurricane Sandy, these members, they didn't stay home. They came to the firehouse. And even though they weren't allowed by law to go on the fire trucks and assist in the firefighting operations, they did whatever was needed from them. For example, Chris was pushing a broom on the apparatus floor. The other guys were transporting fire trucks back and forth to get repaired. Other guys were bringing fire gear to the special places that we have to have our stuff cleaned because everything was covered in sewage and seawater. So these guys never abandoned us. They never abandoned their citizens. They never abandoned the city. So for them to be here back today, working as full-time firefighters, it's the greatest thing that we've seen in a long time, especially the last month. Thank you.
There's 2 other points. One I made already. This very rehiring of these firefighters represents, it's like a metaphor for the turnaround of Long Beach. And we are coming back to full strength in every way. And second, I just, when I talked about it being a special place, look, everyone's here. The mothers, the cousins, even the new babies from these firefighters, because this is such a community-oriented place where everybody looks out for each other. And it's special. It's special. And to just say people should go live far away, break it up, would be a bad thing. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.